I want people that know nothing about marketing, business owners, small business owners that don't know anything about marketing, to just be able to grasp it to a certain extent so that they can make informed decisions and feel more confident and comfortable about those decisions that they make. Even if it's for a focused area of marketing, you see a job description from a marketing apprentice upwards, they're just ridiculously long and expected to do so many things that we've got seconds. It's got to be simple and they've got to know what it does immediately. So don't close yourself off. It's important to build that inner circle of people, and that sometimes starts to change over time as well, because you might be going on a faster business journey than others and things like that, and you always need that inner circle of the right people around you. What are the 3 ways that you can sell your product or service? What's your low level offering? What's your mid level? What's your high level offering? Give people 3 choices and they'll pick one.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Mindset to Market, where we bring you real stories from entrepreneurs who are making a difference. Today, I'm sitting down with someone whose passion for helping small businesses is very contagious. Anna Short, the CEO and founder of Boo Marketing. Welcome, Anna.
Thank you.
After spending 23 years in the corporate world, Anna decided to take a leap of faith and start her business, where she helps businesses with effective marketing. Today, we're going to talk to Anna about her journey, the challenges she faced, realities of marketing, and advices she has for entrepreneurs who want to be seen, heard, and remembered. Thank you, Anna, for being here today.
My pleasure.
Let's start from the beginning. Can you take us back to the moment when Boon Marketing was born? What made you decide to start up this business?
So the business started as a sneaky sideline. That was around January 2018. I was in my last employed role and I was working for sort of the first small business that I'd ever worked for. Prior to that, they'd all been large corporates. And the managing director was a bit of a whirlwind. And I was very much operating as a marketing consultant, and then a multitude of other roles as well. Because of that being a small business, you've got to be adaptable, and I was kind of clearing up after this whirlwind managing director, and it was that made me realise that if he could set up a business, I certainly could, and that's when I started setting up social media profiles and networking and just putting myself out there really, and doing that in a low-key way, so that, because I was still employed, so I had to be really careful around that, and I didn't want to sort of have a conflict of interest, and it's important that you're conducting yourself in the right ways, isn't it? So I was really conscious of that, yet at the same time I knew that I really wanted to start doing my own thing, and I knew early in my 20s that I would have my own business, and so sneaky sideline.
And it became something great today.
Yeah, I went through several redundancies, which is pretty common in marketing roles. You are seen as you're seen as an extra. You're not seen as a necessity. You're seen as a nice to have. So as soon as tough times kick in, efficiencies, budgets, spending is all sort of reviewed and looked at, marketing is quite often the first to get kicked out of the door, which is a bit backwards, because you need to market your business harder through the tougher times. But yeah, like it's seen as a bit of a frill. So in that last employed role that I was in, that was my final redundancy. That was the 7th redundancy, and enough was enough. I'd had enough of keep having to be re-interviewed for my role in the businesses that I was in, or to end up having to go and look for another job again and going through 3 4-stage interview processes. And because I was working at a senior level as well, preparing presentations, doing tests, those would entail all kinds of things. But that last redundancy coincided with a family tragedy, and enough was enough. I didn't have it in me anymore. So that's when I went full time with the sneaky sideline business, because I'd got control of that. I knew that I could work that around my challenges at that time.
Amazing. And did you have any fear or doubts leaving the corporate world? Because that might have
it's up and down. It never changes. Those up and down moments are there all the time. They just change as you go along, really. The challenges change. And I suppose working in marketing, sort of working in that corporate world for 23 years, and working in marketing, you have got to be able to jump into things quickly. You've got to make things look good when everything's falling apart behind the scenes and stuff like that. So I think because of all of those years of experience that I'd had in a mixture of different marketing roles, that equipped me to be able to adapt and be agile and sort of put those transferable skills to the test, really.
Amazing. So you had the experience and then you were able to turn it into something profitable.
Yeah. And through life, those stepping stones, those milestones that we go through, they might not always look or feel right at the time. Sometimes it's further down the line that they start to come together to equip you to be able to do what you enjoy most.
That's a very solid point. That's true. And marketing is very, very complicated. From my experience, I know I can speak for a lot of people. It's very complicated. And what advice would you have for people to make it a bit simplified?
There is so much out there now, and there are so many distractions. And that was part of the reason why I set the business up, because all of those years in corporate, employing marketing agencies, working within marketing agencies as well, I'd seen it from both sides, and the jargon that is used within the industry. When you were talking to clients and they're buying marketing services and support, they're not always 100% clear about what you're even talking about to them because of that terminology and the acronyms and that side of things. So if you've got a great salesperson that's very charismatic, that talks the talk, and they kind of get you on board as a client, you're then handed over to other people.
That's true.
Quite often. And they may not be the most qualified, they may not be the most experienced, they may not know your industry, they may be learning the skills as they go along. Whereas I wanted to just simplify all of that. I don't use marketing jargon on purpose, because I want people that know nothing about marketing, business owners, small business owners that don't know anything about marketing, or don't feel comfortable with it for whatever reason, because it's normally a confidence and understanding thing, to just be able to grasp it to a certain extent so that they can make informed decisions and feel more confident and comfortable about those decisions that they make. So when we are equipped with a simple approach, with simple tools, with somebody that can explain things in simple terms, that puts us at ease instantly. It makes us feel better about it. And then we can decide and work out what's right for our business. We know what we're looking out for. We know how things need to happen. And if we employ people within our businesses, or if we look to outsource certain activities, we know what needs to happen. We know what the expectation needs to be. So lots of small business owners they either want somebody to do it for them, or they want equipping to do it themselves until they can get somebody to do it for them. And the biggest the biggest challenges that I've found with small businesses tends to be around focus, being really focused as a business and as a business owner in what your product or service is and what it does, what those outcomes and benefits are, and then being consistent with that. So consistently showing up, being consistent in what you're saying and doing in those marketing activities that you undertake, both online and offline, and wrapping all of that around with somebody that's just genuine and comfortable and confident with that product or service that they sell, and very, very well know what a difference it makes to the people that they work with.
Yeah, that's solid.
And I've worked in marketing for nearly 30 years now, and I am still learning, and I will be permanently learning. It just grows and grows and grows, that marketing industry, and that extent of knowledge and experience that's now expected. When you see the job descriptions for, even if it's for a focused area of marketing, you see a job description from a marketing apprentice upwards, they're just ridiculously long and expected to do so many things. Nobody can be good at all of those things anymore. So I'm very much about helping people, especially those that work in marketing, understand which areas they're most interested in and where their strengths sit, so that they can craft or create a career or business that matches up with that. Because it's so important to do what you enjoy through your working life.
100%. Like we always say, make your passion your purpose.
Yeah. Because if that passion's there and you can home in on that and work out, and we hear this a lot within marketing, that story side of things now, because it's that what's unique about you as a person and your passion that comes through into your business or into your working life that's really important. We want to do meaningful things. There is nothing worse than working in a job that you just don't believe in that product or service. There is nothing worse. Or when you're too young to question it, you're just going in there and doing it and do what you think you're supposed to do throughout your working life. And then all of a sudden it's like, who said? Who said working life was supposed to be this way? Who said I had to work in a business that's got products or services that I'm not even that interested in, or I don't understand them?
That's true.
So young people question things at an earlier stage now, and I love that. I think that's right.
Especially
and they get knocked for a lot of things, yet they're doing things, they're learning from the past. They're taking control of their own destinies. They see how easy it is to do certain things because they don't know any different. They've grown up with some of that stuff that some of us haven't.
Technology,
cell
phones, all of that,
they know how easy it is. And when you've not got sort of those learned experiences all stacking up within you that create obstacles for you, a young person hasn't got that.
That's true.
They're not going to think twice about doing certain things, or they're not going to see something as a hurdle or an obstacle.
That's very true. That's solid points you mentioned, Anna. And let's say now you had to start a business from the start in today's world. Zero money, zero followers, no one knows about you. How do you go about it?
That's how I set my business up, and I've been full-time in the business. It'll be 6 years this year, and it was starting from scratch. I've never had any money come into the business. I am not interested in investors. I am not explaining or being responsible to anybody else other than myself. I think it's about understanding what you want to create and what you want out of it personally from the outset. What I found was quite often you go all out, say yes to anything and everything when you first start, and you learn as you go along, and those learnings are, the key to you being able to make decisions on, yes, I love that, I want to do more of that, and no, I don't want to work with people like that. I don't want to do that. I'm not interested in that type of business or organisation. That doesn't light me up. So those yeses and nos just start stacking up and taking shape over time. And my business started with nothing, and it was very much through social media and networking and being interested in people and being interested in business, and always wanting to find solutions as well. I'm naturally curious, and I don't care about looking daft at asking certain questions. Neither. I think it shows that you want to learn, that it shows you that you're genuinely interested. So it is that typical saying of no question is a stupid question. Part of the reason why I believe that I'm good at what I do is because I will approach things from your everyday person's point of view. And it's like, if I can't understand it, to simplify it, to ensure that other people can understand that marketing message, that product, that service. If I can't do that, something's not right. And one thing I've always been very good at is that translation piece from something that might be quite technical by way of a product or service, creating that message and asking those questions, and that, like a child would, why, what's it for, but why? To be able to understand it enough to then create that simple message, that simple communication that gets the point across as to what that product or service does, what it gives somebody else. And if you can make sure that you're communicating in a clear and simple way, the receiver of that message is going to understand it without having to think about it.
That is
which is even more important now, isn't it? Because people just have not got the attention span and can't even be bothered working stuff out, which fine. But we've got to bear that in mind, that we've got seconds. It's got to be simple, and they've got to know what it does immediately.
That is solid. That is very true, because the attention span of youngsters nowadays is very short.
Adults as well. We're just as guilty on the sort of attention span and the distractions, the devices, and that side of things. We're very visual. We want to get things in an instant. We just want to understand it. And it's like, if somebody makes hard work of something for you, a person or a business, you just switch off.
Yeah, you do. It's human nature.
So it's like, if they're not clear, if they're not keeping it simple, or they're just plain boring, you're done.
And do you find that most people tend to focus on trends than getting the basic techniques of marketing?
The biggest offender there is social media. Everybody, not everybody, a lot of businesses and early stage businesses more so think that social media is the answer to everything when it comes to marketing. And as we know, social media changes all the time. The key thing for me there is that don't rely on one type of marketing activity like just social media. You are setting yourself up for a struggle in the first place, because it's not as easy as it used to be, and a big fall if you become very reliant upon it and you run your business through it because you don't own it.
That's true.
You don't own it. So if you're growing communities on there, if you've got selling goods and services on there, we know what can happen when our account gets hacked or something changes or
The cloud shut down.
yeah, when things just don't work anymore. It's like you need to be in control of as much as possible in your business. You need to be keeping it within your controllable arena, in a sense, and you want to own that. You know, you want to own your customers, your contacts, that data. You know, that's of value to you. That's of value to your business, and you cannot risk it. Building that up for it to just disappear within a moment, no.
That's true.
But yeah, that reliance on social media, mix it up with other marketing activities.
Like networking, flyers.
Well, yeah, but it's that, you know, you want them directly in your arena. You want those contacts, those customers, those clients, whatever you want to call them. It's suppliers, partners that you work with. There's so many different types of people that you work with. You want direct control of them. You want their information, their data. You want to understand their needs and how they work and how you want them to work. And there's so many things involved. So I'm always very much just do a handful of marketing activities. Make sure some of those are offline as well as online.
Yeah, that is true.
Because you never know, and if you are covering it from both the online world as well as the offline world, that's going to create a stronger business.
There's less chance of failure.
Yeah,
That's true.
yeah.
That was a solid point.
But because with marketing as well, we know that we've got to be getting that message out there and putting it across to people. And so many times, 6, 7, 8, 9 times, they need to be hearing about that solution that you provide, those benefits that they receive at the end of consuming or purchasing your product or service. They've got to hear that so many times. And in such a busy world as well, that repetition even more so. That having a handful of activities, being consistent and keep going is really important.
Don't give up. That
Yeah.
That is solid. And Anna, you've worked in the business world, the corporate world, and you've also worked as a business owner.
Yeah.
What's one lesson that you've learned from your work that you can share with us?
People are the biggest battle.
That is so I agree with that.
They are the biggest battle. So whether you're employed or whether you have got your own business, people are the biggest battle. And learning those skills of social interaction, of being able to build rapport with people, and showing, being interested, and that being curious. Again, as well. It's those social skills that I think are really important, and that even if somebody isn't for you, it's just learning ways of how to handle that, and boundaries comes up quite often as well with small business owners, because you can be more vulnerable in some ways, and some bigger businesses may take advantage of that.
That's true.
So it doesn't matter what size your business is, if you've got firm boundaries in place and you know where your leeway is and where it should be, coupled with those communication skills and that confidence that we need to deal with some of those difficult situations and people quite often. It's just really important to equip ourselves with that, and you learn that. Some people are naturally good on the social skills side of things, but they might not always have dealt with conflict too well. They might avoid it, things like that. So it's always working on those social skills and the communication skills side of things to be able to deal with people as well as possible.
So soft skills are very key right now. Interesting.
I think so. Yeah, and the connection element is, whilst it's a popular theme at the moment, it's not just about seeing that as a popular theme, it's about understanding the true meaning behind it and why that is a popular theme at the moment, because we want connection. We want it more than ever because it's been taken away from us in other ways through technology. So that person-to-person connection is wanted and needed and will always exist, so that's really important, I think. And when, no matter how much technology is in play, you are still going to need to deal with people. And the truest saying that people deal with people it is that if you're picking between two people and they both do the same things, the same products or services or whichever, yet you just connect better with one more than the other, who are you going to deal with?
You join the one you connect more with.
And nobody has to have done anything right or wrong. It's that connection.
Connection is key.
It is.
And as well as confidence, for example, because I've heard that confidence is very important in marketing. So what would you say to someone who has no confidence or are very probably camera shy and are getting themselves online for the first time? So what advice would you give to them?
Yeah. When I work with business owners and managing directors, the putting yourself out there comes up regularly. I'm not doing videos. And I am not that coach, that consultant will say, well, you've got to do this and you've got no choice and that's how it's done now. It's about working it out with them. So what healthy challenges are they up for that they feel comfortable with, rather than forcing them to do something they really don't want to do, because we all know that when we're forced to do something, we're not coming across in the best possible way. We turn into that child that will dig their heels in and, or we can just see that uncomfortable, feeling. And we feed off what we see. So if somebody's doing a video and put it out on social media and they're looking really uncomfortable and awkward, it's kind of like, why would you do that to yourself? So it's finding what's right for them. So I will look at what they want to work on for themselves as an individual, as well as what the business needs, and pull the two together. Because it's really important that the people side is taken into account when you're looking at the marketing of a business, and that, yeah, this is what we need to achieve as a business. These are the activities that we need to do. Who's going to do them? Who's going to learn them? Who's up for it? And you're kind of mixing and matching and putting that together then. So stepping stones to video are things like this, you know, because you can talk off screen.
Yeah.
People listen to podcasts regularly. Yeah, and they're a relaxed conversation. So if you're bothered about being seen on a screen, it's that just do sound only. Do podcasts that aren't videoed, radio interviews, things like that, or written interviews. You know, it's just important that you get your personality across, because, yeah, boring if you've no personality, isn't it? We come across these people all the time, and it's just like, if you're boring, some people, it's like, if you could go and buy a personality, there you go, you need that.
Oh, amazing. So what is one piece of advice you give to an entrepreneur who's looking to launch their own business?
Be open-minded. What you set out doing and what you end up doing can change quite often, which is always really interesting.
That is very true.
And I think collaboration has carried me really well and benefited me in lots of different ways. So don't close yourself off. It's important to build that inner circle of people, and that sometimes starts to change over time as well, because you might be going on a faster business journey than others and things like that, and you always need that inner circle of the right people around you that are helping you grow and develop as a person and as a business. So you kind of always, and the term leveling up gets used, doesn't it? And it is that you were always making sure you were at the level that you want to be, and that what you're surrounding yourself with is in line with that, because you can't move forward, or you can't progress. Well, some people want to stay stuck.
Some people do. The majority wants to keep moving.
Yeah.
Especially business.
So that inner circle changes and adapts over time quite often, because you need different influences and different guidance around you as time changes. And again, it's that building relationships, that connection side of things. But yeah, being open-minded and being collaborative, I think, is really important.
Interesting. So being open-minded, being collaborative.
Yeah.
Very important, definitely. And if you had to sum up Boo Marketing in one sentence, what would you do?
Surprisingly simple. Surprisingly simple marketing.
Simple. Yeah.
You know, and it's like we all want a bit of that.
Yeah, we do, especially mine.
Even me.
Yeah. Like, life is hard enough. Like, don't make it so difficult.
It is, and it's that. Do you know what? Depending on where your business is at, if you make sure you're getting that guidance and support from the right kind of people, they will meet you where you're at. And it's like, if you are a bootstrap business and you've got limited funds, no funds, whatever, it's like, right, you know, what can you offer that person?
True.
Because they're at the beginning of their journey. You know, some people have said to me, "Ooh, you help startup businesses. They've got no money. The rewards come in different ways." And I just think, how narrow-minded is that? So it is that, making sure you've got different formats of what you offer, at different levels. I love the number 3, so I'm always like, right, what are the 3 ways that you can sell your product or service? What's your low level offering? What's your mid level? What's your high level offering? Give people 3 choices and they'll pick one.
Amazing. This has been such a powerful and insightful conversation. Thank you so much, Anna, for sharing your knowledge and wisdom with us.
My pleasure.
And if you're a small business who is looking to get results, make sure to check out Anna's page. You can find the link in the description below. Thank you very much, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.